Can we now take up previously adopted Resolution 3563 by Senator Espaillat, read in its entirety, and call on the senator to speak?
Turn to motions and resolutions, and the secretary will read.
Legislative Resolution number 3563 by Senator Espaillat, memorializing Governor Andrew M. Cuomo to proclaim April 2016 as Russian American History Month in the state of New York. Whereas the history and participation of people of Russian heritage in the American experience will greatly enhance and appreciated through the observance of the April 2016 as Russian American History Month in the state of New York. And whereas individuals of Russian heritage, such as Ivan Turchaninov, Union Army Brigadier General Igor Sikorsky, inventor of the helicopter and the multi-engine airplane, Vladimir Zworykin, a Russian-American inventor, engineer, and pioneer of television technology, composers Sergei Rachmaninoff and Igor Stravinsky, Yul Brynner, and Kirk Douglas, Hollywood legends, Sergey Brin, a co-founder and head of Google Corporation, Irving Berlin, authors of the song God Bless America, and many others have made important contributions to the United States and the world. And whereas the recognition of such significant contributions will enhance the opportunities for Russian American youth to take pride in their forebears and to identify with them as role models. And whereas, colored by shadows of the Civil War, Americans sometimes hold perceptions of Russian Americans which obscure the fact that there has never been a war between Russia and the United States. In fact, our nations were allies during World War II. And whereas better knowledge of the role of Russian Americans in history of the United States and of relations between Russia and America can lead to more productive opportunities for all. Now, therefore, be it resolved that this legislative body pauses deliberations to memorialize Governor Andrew M. Cuomo to proclaim April 2016 as Russian American History Month in the state of New York, and to urge that during this month there be active efforts to examine the subject in public schools, colleges, and universities and other venues, and that events and activities supporting interests and attention to Russian American history and how Russian Americans have retained their cultural identity while contributing significantly to the enrichment of New York State and America be encouraged, and be further resolved that copies of this resolution suitably engrossed be transmitted to the Honorable Andrew M. Cuomo, Governor of the State of New York, and to Dr. Olga Zasepina, Chair of the Coalition of Support of Russian American History Month and President of the Russian American Cultural Heritage Center, Sergei I. Kislyak, Ambassador of the Russian Federation of the United States, the Honorable Igor L. Golubovsky, Consul General of the Russian Federation in New York, Bishop John Naro Fomentz, Administrator of the Patriarchal Parishes of the United States of America, Metropolitan Hilarion of Eastern America in New York, First Hierarch of the Russian Orthodox Church outside of Russia, Dr. Cyril Giacinatov, President of the Russian Nobility Association of America, and Tatiana Diptola, President of the New York Russian Cultural Center in Albany, and to other members of the coalition.
Senator Espaillat.
Thank you, Mr. President. For several years now, we have been visited by our friends in the Russian American community. As you know, Mr. President, diversity is one of the very strengths of New York State and New York City. And of course, the Russian American community is a strong one within the state and the city. And many may think that Russian Americans are only found or live in Brooklyn, and particularly in what is now known as Little Odessa, which is Brighton Beach. But in fact, we have a very strong Russian American presence in the district that I represent, on Bennett Avenue, Fort Washington Avenue, and other avenues in the northern part of Washington Heights. We've had a presence of Russian Americans for some time, and they have contributed greatly to our community and to the state of New York. And we're celebrating Russian American History Month. And we have with us today in this chamber the presence of Father Alexander Golubov, who's been with us for the second consecutive years. So we're welcoming him. He represents Bishop John, administrator of the Patriarchal Parishes in the U.S., and Father George Kunov, the Chancellor of the Patriarchal Parishes of the Russian Orthodox Church, Irina Sagonorva, a celebrated singer and director of the Golden Rooster Group, Dr. Saganorva, president of the Russian American Cultural Heritage Center and chair of the Coalition in support of Russian American History Month, Dennis Love, Russian youth organizer. We have also Roman Matmaktov, and a Russian adopted son of Puerto Rican descent, Julio Rodriguez, who's here with us today too, and his lovely wife, Olga, as well, who is the president of the Russian American Cultural Heritage Center and part of the coalition. We also have a chapter from the Albany region. So we have many Russian Americans right here in the Albany region, headed by our very own Anton Kovnev, who has worked with some of our members as a staffer. But we also have Tanya Deplova, president of the New Russia Cultural Center in Albany, Olga Alexandrova, Valentina Sergeva, Marina Torovaryaska, Greg Lone, Irina Sminova, Veronica Stryker, Olga Vilinsky, and Taisa Melinchenka. So this is a fine group of, I have some Russian accent in me, don't I? This is a strong group from New York City and now New York State, because we have members of that community here right in Albany, and we want to welcome them into the New York family. This is a special celebration, and we ask you, you will also benefit from an art exhibit. As you enter the LOB, you will see the art exhibit there, and we will be hosting a reception in room 211. You're all invited to attend and get to meet these great people, and we want to extend on the great courtesies of this chamber, Mr. President. Thank you for
Thank you, Senator Espaillat. We welcome all of the members of the Russian American delegation that are here today. We extend the courtesies of the House to you. A warm welcome. So. As noted, the resolution was adopted on February 2nd, 2016.
Does he want it?
Senator DeFrancisco, Senator Espaillat has requested the resolution be open for co-sponsorship without objection.
No objection here.
The resolution is open for co-sponsorship. Should you choose not to be a co-sponsor, please notify the desk. Senator DeFrancisco.
Can we stay on motions and resolution? Take up previously adopted resolution 3564 by Senator Hannan. Read it in its entirety and call on Senator Hannan and probably others.
The Secretary will read. Can I have some order in the House, please?
Legislative Resolution number 3564 by Senator Hannan, memorializing Governor Andrew Cuomo to proclaim April 2016 as Organ and Tissue Donor Awareness Month in the state of New York in conjunction with the observance of National Donate Life Month. Whereas organ and tissue transplantation has advanced from an experimental technique to a successful mode of therapy. For many, transplants mean an improvement in the quality of life. For others, they mean the difference between life and death. And whereas each year the waiting list for organ transplants grows longer, many people die before an organ becomes available. The need for organ donations is real and urgent. And whereas nationally, the current waiting list for organs has reached more than 123,000 and thousands more need tissues. In New York State alone, nearly 10,000 people are waiting for transplant. More names are added to the waiting list daily, and the number of people on the waiting list far exceeds the number of donors. And whereas to focus attention on the importance of organ and tissue donation and to express gratitude for those who have already given the gift of life, it is the intent of this legislative body to memorialize Governor Andrew M. Cuomo to proclaim April 2016 as Organ and Tissue Donor Awareness Month in the state of New York in conjunction with the observance of National Donate Life Month, which incorporates both organ and tissue as well as other donations. And whereas citizens of the state of New York have for many years been encouraged to sign up to be an organ, eye, and tissue donor through the New York State Donate Life Registry, a database of individuals who have chosen upon their death to donate their organs and tissues through online registration when they apply for or renew their driver's license or non-driver identification card, are at various locations and events held throughout the state each year. And whereas Organ and Tissue Donor Awareness Month provides the opportunity to help New Yorkers learn more about organ donation, to help the thousands of patients awaiting transplantations, and to recognize the critical need for organ, eye, tissue, bone marrow, and blood donation. And whereas many New Yorkers have set a powerful example agreeing to become organ and tissue donors and to taking a selfless action which may potentially save or enhance the lives of others, yet there continues to be a shortage of vitally needed organs and tissues, and the disparity between the number of registered donors and the number of people needing transplants grows each year. A single person donating at the time of their death can help as many as 50 people. And whereas no one knows where they or a loved one, when they or a loved one may need a transplant to survive, or tissue to repair injury or treat disease, while there are over 19 million New Yorkers currently, only 4 million are enrolled in the New York State Donate Life Registry. And whereas the observance of Organ and Tissue Donor Awareness Month provides the opportunity to educate people, to encourage them to consider organ and tissue donation, to add their names to the New York State Donate Life Registry, expressing their consent to donate, ensuring that more lives are saved, and to inform their families and friends of their decision. And whereas Organ and Tissue Donor Awareness Month is also a time to recognize and applaud the researchers, medical professionals, advocates, and volunteers, past and present, who have contributed so much to the advancement of organ and tissue donation and transplantation, and most particularly to acknowledge and express our deepest gratitude for the extraordinary generosity and altruistic gifts of deceased and living donors and their families, so that others may have the opportunity to rear a family, hold a job, and pursue a fuller, more active life. Now, therefore, be it resolved that this legislative body pauses deliberations to memorialize Governor Andrew M. Cuomo, to proclaim April 2016 as Organ and Tissue Donor Awareness Month in the state of New York, and be it further resolved that copies of this resolution suitably engrossed be transmitted to the Honorable Andrew M. Cuomo, Governor of the state of New York, the New York Organ Donor Network, the Long Island Transplant Recipients International Organization, and the New York Alliance for Donation.
Senator Hannan on the resolution. Give some order in the House, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. This is a resolution that notes that April is Organ Donation Month, and as byproduct of that, we have today passed 5 laws, or 5 proposed laws, one extending Lauren's Law permanently, second, providing for emergency vehicles, Senator Serino's bill, Senator Flanagan's bill about education, my own bill about having people who sign up for the New York Health Exchange be given the chance to become an organ donor, as well as straightening out some glitches with young people becoming organ donors through getting their license. There's a lot of statistics available for everybody to know how many people are waiting and how many lives could be saved. But as legislators, we know from our friends, our families, our constituents, how we often get calls about somebody who is an extremist, somebody who is dying, somebody who needs help. And it only takes one of those illustrations, one of those cases, for us to realize that what we could do through an organ donation, whether it be through someone who's passed away or someone who is a live donor, that a direct life can be saved. And for all of the money we spend in this state on health care, we know that if we can increase the number of people who are ready to provide an organ through donation, we can save that many more lives. And New York ranks very low on the list of those people who've signed up. And the whole effort today is to really get folks in the legislature to be aware of what we can do collectively. We've done it through the budget, where we increased the amount of money spent through organ donation by $750,000, so that we've now, the appropriation is $1 million a year, and this is only the beginning. And to hopefully be able to continue to enlist everybody in this cause. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Senator Hannan. Senator Flanagan.
Thank you, Mr. President. I will be succinct. Senator Hannan covered great ground, and all of you know how strongly I feel about this subject. And I'll repeat that I think the smartest thing we can do is do outreach. tell everybody about what's going on out there. Yes, we can have strong government programs, but there's nothing better, like many things in life, than personal contact. Talk to your friends, your neighbors, your coworkers, and when people bring it up, or if you have on one of these green bracelets, which I believe a lot of people up there just happen to be wearing today, right? There, ladies and gentlemen. And a pin, of course. The pins always help, too. That can go a long way. I am very grateful to Senator Hannan, Senator Carlucci, and others who have been outspoken advocates in this area. As Senator Hannan said, we have come down a long road, made great strides, but we have so much more we need to do. And I want to make this part of the legacy of the work that gets done in this New York State Senate. Thank you, Mr. President.
Again, Senator Carlucci.
I want to echo what my colleagues have said, and really I want to thank Leader Flanagan and Senator Hannan for really putting your expertise towards this mission of finding a way to make sure that we reverse this trend in New York. But I wanted to speak on this resolution right here because I think this really gets at the heart of it. The bills that Senator Hannan just mentioned, we talk about the mechanics, about how we could really just physically change the system and change our policy to help people. But I think the biggest issue is the stigma attached to organ donation, that we have to cut through that. We have to talk about this issue wherever we can, and that's why I'm so honored and humbled by the presence of our advocates here today. We have people here today that have received organs, have received a life-saving organ transplant, and are here today because of that. And that's why we have to talk about this issue, because it's not something you like to talk about at the dinner table. It's not something that just comes up organically many times. That's why Senator Flanagan's bill about how do we get this a topic that our students will debate and talk about in the schools. By doing that, we will save lives. So we have to focus on the policy. We have to focus on the mechanics. We also have to focus on the stigma and the ability to talk about this. And in doing that, when people actually talk about it and know the facts, I believe they're going to consciously make the decision to sign up to be an organ donor, and they will save lives. One person that makes that decision can save 8 lives. It's dramatic. So we need to talk about it whenever we can. So I'm honored to be part of this resolution. I want to thank the leadership in this House for making this a priority and an issue that we talk about. So thank you for everyone supporting this resolution. And one thing I wanted to mention, Lauren Shield. She's studying for an exam, so she couldn't be here today. But on Wednesday, on the 13th, she's going to be 16 years old. So it's very fitting that we have April as Organ Donation Awareness Month in the state of New York. So I'll be voting in the affirmative, and I want to thank all my colleagues for doing the same. Thank you, Mr. President.
As noted, the resolution has been previously adopted on February 2nd of 2016. Senator DeFrancisco.
To the Finance Committee in room 332.
There will be an immediate meeting of the Finance Committee in room 332.
Do it now. One more resolution that was previously adopted.
Also, Senator DeFrancisco, at the request of the sponsors, the previous resolution without objection is open to co-sponsorship.
No objection.
So the resolution is open for co-sponsorship. Should you choose not to be a co-sponsor, notify the desk. We're returning to resolutions and motions. Senator DeFrancisco.
We take up previously adopted resolution 4659 by Senator Hamilton. Read the title only and call on Senator... No, you have to read it in its entirety. I'm sorry. Read it in its entirety and call on Senator Hamilton.
Okay, can I have some order in the House, please? Secretary will read.
Legislative Resolution number 4659 by Senator Hamilton, commemorating the anniversary celebration of the birthday of the Reverend Lubavitch Rebbe Rabbi Menachem M. Schneerson. Whereas, the true architects of society and community are those individuals whose faith and unremitting commitment serve to sustain the spiritual and cultural values of life. The Lubavitch Rebbe Rabbi Menachem M. Schneerson was surely such an individual. And whereas World Jewry is now celebrating the 114th birthday of the renowned and revered leader, the Lubavitch Rebbe Rabbi Menachem M. Schneerson. And whereas serving over 44 years of dedicated leadership, Rabbi Schneerson established over 1,500
Excuse me, Chris.
Whereas, serving over 44 years of dedicated leadership, Rabbi Schneerson established over 1,500 Lubavitch centers, helping people of all walks of life throughout the world, from Australia to Africa, from Holland to Argentina, from Moscow to Jerusalem. And whereas, Rabbi Schneerson's educational activities throughout the globe have enriched and strengthened the religious, educational, cultural, moral, and ethical fibers of all citizens of the world. And whereas he was a remarkably and holy man who inspired millions of Jews and non-Jews to greater dedication, loyalty, and commitment in all matters between man and God and between man and man. And whereas Rabbi Schneerson proclaimed the redemption was on its way, and he called upon all citizens of the world to prepare with a personal commitment to increase all activities of goodness and kindness. And whereas a memorial reception will be held in the New York State Capitol on Monday, April 11, 2016, in tribute and remembrance of Rabbi Schneerson, the leading rabbi of his generation. And whereas this year, Tuesday, April 19, 2016, corresponding to 11 Nisan 5776, the Rebbe's 114th birthday, to Wednesday, August 10, 2016, corresponding to 6 Av 5776, will be celebrated as 114 days of education in tribute to the educational endeavors of this visionary leader and learned gentleman on behalf of all mankind. And whereas throughout his purposeful journey, the life Rabbi Schneerson compiled with dignity and grace, decades filled with philanthropic causes, humanitarian effort, and astute Judaic leadership, justly earned the devotion of his followers and the admiration and respect of his fellow man. Now, therefore, be it resolved that this legislative body pauses deliberations to commemorate the traditional observance of the anniversary of the birthday of the Lubavitch Rebbe, Rabbi Menachem M. Schneerson, and to recognize April 19, 2016 to August 10, 2016 as 114 days of education in tribute to the educational endeavors of the beloved Rebbe. And be it further resolved that a copy of this resolution suitably engrossed be transmitted to the Rabbi Shmuel M. Buttman, Director of the Lubavitch Youth Organization.
Senator Hamilton.
Mr. Chairman, I rise to pay homage to a great leader, a great spiritual leader, Rabbi Menachem Schneerson of the Lubavitch Orthodox Jewish Organization. I want to thank Rabbi Buttman for coming here today to do the invocation for the Senate floor. Rabbi, the Rebbe, as he's dearly called, affected millions of people throughout the world. As you mentioned before, we have shuls throughout the world spreading the word of the Shabbat. And I just want to say, when I went to Israel, I saw the Rebbe's picture all over Israel. And people think that the Shabbat, Lubavitchers, Orthodox Jewish people, but they do fight for Israel. So I saw many of my young constituents from Crown Heights fighting in the military for the protection of Israel, to protect its God-given borders from enemies abroad. I think everyone should go to Israel to see how all of Israel's borders has enemies. For me, it was shocking to see ISIS flags at the border in the Golan Heights. It was shocking for me to see young boys and girls playing in warehouses because they were fearful of seeing missiles coming from Gaza in just the road. So I just want to say the Rebbe's legacy is still present throughout the world. It's especially present in Crown Heights, Brooklyn, where I represent. The Lubavitch have supported me from my first run for office when I ran for the school board. The Lubavitch men supported me to become the president. Mordecai Eckhouse, Stuart Bauerberg, Rabbi Abraham Flint, and Yitzhak Washall. So I commend the Lubavitch community for believing in me and having me be the president of the school board. And we had the 5th best school in New York State, the Crown School for Law and Journalism. And I went to Israel. I was surprised people knew who I was. They knew more about me than David Greenfield. They kept saying, Senator, Senator, Senator. But I didn't realize that by going to Shalom Zucca on Friday night before the circumcision of the young men, that I would be so widely known in Crown Heights, throughout Brooklyn, and in Israel. Shom Zukkah is when a young boy, before he's circumcised, there's a family, has a gathering, and we drink bread, we have festivities, and we usually have scotch, and no fights break out. So every Friday night, I'm always going to a Shom Zukkah with my Lubavitch brothers and sisters in the Crown Heights community. As you all know, we had the Crown Heights riots over 20 years ago, but since then, we have formed an alliance of working together, and we have created a blueprint that I wish all people could live with throughout the world. What was disturbing to me when I went to Israel is that I saw a man stabbed for no other reason than being Jewish. When we walked through the holy city in Jerusalem, we had to walk with armed security for being attacked and being called Americans and called derogatory names. So I commend the Lubavitch community for fighting for Israel with the young men and women from Brooklyn, and I commend the spirit of the Rebbe for being a man of vision, of foresight, and spreading love and harmony throughout the world. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Senator Stavisky.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Senator Hamilton, for sponsoring this resolution, and thank you, Rabbi Buttman, for coming to Albany as the face of the Lubavitches. About an hour ago, I received an email from one of the Chabad rabbis, whom I've known for a long time, and it explains the love and warmth of the Lubavitcher movement. It's not just about prayers.
Right.
The email, which I guess other people received, are you joining us for wine and cheese? What's your favorite wine? This is an appeal to everybody, not just Jewish people, not just observant people, but everybody. I have a number of Chabads in my district. This particular email message was from Rabbi Yossi Blosofsky, the rabbi of the Chabad of Northeast Queens, but I also have been to the Chabad of Rego Park with Rabbi Block, and we have a Chabad in Flushing. We have a Chabad at Queens College, which I think is important because they reach out to students. I had the pleasure of visiting a number of Chabads, and I think it was appropriate that we had some people here from Russia, because when I visited Russia with a number of my colleagues, what did we see? We saw the Chabad in St. Petersburg, the Chabad in Moscow, and the Chabad in Kazan, which is in the Republic of Tatarstan. And it's interesting because they stay in touch with each other worldwide. So I am proud to welcome the rabbi once again to Albany and to honor the memory of Rabbi Schneerson. Ironically, my grandparents are buried in the same cemetery, Old Montefiore, in Springfield Gardens in Senator Comrie's district, as the Rebbe. And every year, during the period between, in September, but usually between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, we visit my grandparents' gravesite, and then we stop off, but there's usually such a large crowd that we can't visit the Rebbe. But again, I congratulate Senator Hamilton and thank my colleagues.
Thank you, Senator Stavisky. The resolution was previously adopted on April 6th of this year. Senator DeFrancisco.
Is there any, that's open up for co-sponsorship.
Resolution is open for co-sponsorship. Should you choose not to be co-sponsor, please notify the desk. There is no further business at the desk, Senator DeFrancisco.
I didn't even ask yet.
You started to.
Okay, but thanks for anticipating. In that case, I move to adjourn until Tuesday, April 12th at 10. That is 10 a.m.
There will be an
tomorrow.
immediate meeting of the Finance Committee in room 332. And on motion, the Senate will stand adjourned until tomorrow, Tuesday, April 12th at 10 a.m.
Thank you, Mr. President. But to clear up the record, they've been having the Finance Committee meeting since I announced it as immediately previous to this time.
Thank you, Senator DeFrancisco. On motion, the Senate stands adjourned until Tuesday, April 12th at 10 a.m. The Senate is adjourned.